Okay. So the first thing that we should go over is the Etsy password file. The Etsy password file is probably the most crucial file that you'll need to understand in order to configure and view information about users. So it is globally accessible, meaning you don't have to have super user privilege in order to view it. And the way you interpret this file is each line in the file represents a different user. The very first line shows information about the root user, as you can see here. Um, and so each field about the user is separated by colons. So the first field is their username, the second field is their password, but it doesn't actually show their password in the Etsy password file, ironically, because that is not secure. The third field is the user's UID, and fourth is the group ID. Um, in terms of UIDs, the root user is the only one with a UID of 0, and users who have a UID from 1 to 999 are system users that you can't log into, and users with a UID greater than 1000, so this could be like 1400 or something, and that would refer to a user account, which you can actually log into and has a home directory and all that stuff. Um, this field here is their display name. So if you intend on logging into the user from the splash screen, this is what will show up when you log into them. And generally for user accounts, you would have like your full name here or something. This field is the user's home directory where their like files are stored and where their shell opens up by default. And then this last field is the shell that you'll use when you log into this user account. So this is the default shell that is initiated when you log into the account. Um, some relevant commands that you should know in terms of user security. There's add, delete, which are pretty self-explanatory. It's just user add and user del. You can add a user to a group with the add user and then the name of the user and the name of the group. You can remove users from groups with del user, user and group. You can change the shell of the user with user mod, and then you use the -s flag, and then you list the name of the shell or the directory location of the shell immediately after the -s, and then the name of the user. Um, so as mentioned earlier from the Etsy password file, this is what refers to the shell. So running the user mod command will change what is listed here for their shell. You can also change the UID of the user with the -u flag and then the UID. And finally, you can change the password of the user with the passwd command. So I recommend you like screenshot this page or write these commands down, but well, the lecture will also be online, so you can revisit it there. Some applications of the commands that I just went over. So these are called one-liners. They're essentially just long strings of Linux commands that are chained together to produce some kind of formatted output. So what I want to do is see what you guys think about these one-liners. And if anyone can tell me what they think this first one does. Just you can make any kind of guess you want. Um, I'll go over this in my VM very shortly. How am I going to look at the questions at the same time from this here? So does anyone have an idea about what this one-liner here does? You have the grep command, and it looks like digits 0 through 9, and then a 4. By the way, this is regular expression right here. And then you have the Etsy password file, and then the cut command. Okay, I wasn't really expecting anyone to know. If you do know, that's good, but okay, Ryan, Ryan maybe knows. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is actually use this command in my virtual machine. So if I full screen, can you guys still see this?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So I'm gonna log into this Ubuntu VM. So what was the command again? It was grep e and then 2 semicolons and then 0 through 9. I'm fat fingering this, and then 4 from Etsy password cut df1. Okay, so what this command does is it prints all of the user accounts on the system. So I'll go through every part of this command. I can zoom in on this. So the first part of the command, or the first command you use, is the grep command. This is a find and search command. So for example, if I create a file on my desktop really quickly, um, so I have this text.txt file right now, and it says, "Hi there, everyone." So I can grep for a letter or of a string from this file, and it will like highlight basically what the string was. So it gets any line that has the string containing in it. So this dash capital E flag, this means regular expressions. So whatever is parsed within this quotation marks will be interpreted as regular expressions. You don't really need to know much about this, but the 0 through 9 in brackets means a number basically, and then the 4 in curly braces means a quantity of 4. So a 4-digit number is what's shown in here in between two colons from the Etsy password file. So if you remember what the Etsy password file looks like, every field in the Etsy password file by line is separated by colons. For example, you have the colon here and then the UID and then another colon. So what this command does, it looks for a 4-digit number surrounded by colons. And if you pay close attention, the only numbers within this file that are surrounded by colons are the UID and the group ID. And the UIDs tend to match the group ID. If they don't, then the UID will still be a 4-digit number, if and only if they are a user account. So this looks for every 4-digit UID, which indicates every user account. And then the cut command uses a flag of D to specify a delimiter, which is what they separated by. So if you've taken CS, then it's like the split function in Java or JavaScript, and this is what it's splitting by. And then dash F gets the first field, so it gets the username of the line. Drink some water. My throat is getting dry. Okay, and for the second one-liner, can anyone guess what this does? Notice that the command here is essentially, well, it is the same command here. So the command within these parentheses is the same as the one above, which printed all the user accounts on the system. No one knows what this does? Come on, oh, okay, good job, you got it. It changes the password for every user. So I'm not going to run this one because, frankly, there's a lot of typing I would have to do. But the for loop syntax in Bash is basically this. So it's for, and then you declare the variable in, and then you specify what you're iterating through. So this notation of a $ with parentheses and a command inside means run whatever is inside these parentheses. So as I just showed you guys earlier, this command above, which is the same as what's in the parentheses, prints out all of the system or all of the account users on the system. So all the users that you can log into and are basically not system users. And so it iterates through all the system users and it runs the following command, which is sudo passwd and then the variable I, which you declare to iterate through the users, and then done. So it iterates through every single user and it runs the password command on them. And that's just a useful trick that once you know a lot of these commands, you can start stringing them together and using other bash commands to like start doing tasks quicker and competing quicker and more points, more profit. The next thing I want to talk about is hidden users. Hidden users are system users that have a UID of less than 1000, but they also have shells that can be logged into. And what do I mean by shells that can be logged into? I mean shells like this, like bin/sh, bin/bash, and bin/zsh. Those shells are generally limited to user accounts. So if you see a system user with one of these shells, that's generally a bad thing. Yeah, that's generally what Cyberpatriot does to try to throw you off and scatter users that should not have login shells. And how do you fix this? What I personally recommend is just to delete the user because generally they are a malicious user that you don't want on the system. But another thing you can do is change the shell to one of these two shells using that user mod command right here. So you can run this command, or you can delete them with the userdel command. So what I want to do is just so you know exactly what a hidden user is. Given what I've told you about they're a system user who has a UID of less than 1000, but they also have a shell that can be logged into. Can anyone identify which of these users is the system user? And I'm going to ask you guys to go on voice because if I alt tab out of this, you're going to see the answer. So if you figure out who it is, uh, please just go on voice and say the name. So say the first field, say the username. Okay, I'm just assuming no one can find it then. Um, so the hidden user in this screen is Waldo. And you can tell because he has a UID of 347, which means he should be a system account, but he has a shell of /bin/sh, which is bad. So you would delete Waldo. Okay, the next thing I want to go over is password expiry. And the way you mostly configure password expiry, there's several ways, but this is the primary way to do it for users is the change command. So the change command takes a number of flags. It takes -m, which specifies the minimum number of days after you change a user's password to change it a second time. So if I set dash the min days to 2, which is what's recommended, then you have to wait 2 days after you change a password to change it again. -m with the capital M is max days, so that's how long you have after changing a password until the password expires. And after it expires, then you won't be able to log into the account. So that's bad. And then -I is the number of inactive days after the user's password expires until the account is just like gone. Like you won't be able to log into it again. You won't be able to unlock the account either. So you really don't want to wait 30 days after the expiry. And the -W is the number of days before the password expires that it'll warn you about changing the password. So recommended is 7. So a week before your password expires, it should start giving you warnings. And the way you use this command is you just string all of these flags together with the username of the user at the end. And another command you can do is change -L. So this isn't the -I, this is -L, and it lists all of the current password expiry information for whatever user you give. And another way to configure password expiry or to do it manually, I mean, not manually, but to unlock or lock user accounts. So say, for example, you wait 30 days and then your password expires and you didn't change it. So now you're locked out of the account essentially and you can't get back in. The only way to get back in is if you are a root user. And what the root user can use is this passwd command again. As you saw earlier, it was used to change the password of the user, but now you can also use it to unlock or lock user accounts. Unlock is with the -U and lock is with the -L. So you can see in this screenshot here, su test user, that command basically switches the user into test user. And then I typed in the password, but it doesn't show up. And then so I can log in successfully if I just do it like that. As you can see by this, I'm logged into the test user. And then I exit out of it, and then I run as a sudo user with the sudo command passwd lock test user. So now when I try to switch back into the test user, even though I typed the password correctly, it got authentication failed because when I show the status of the password, you can see this L means that it's locked. Okay, so I want to go over some very basic questions. If you, well, I'll just think about some of these questions and then I'll go over the answers in a bit. But yeah, I mean, these are very like they're not very difficult. So does anyone know how to do number one? You could just type it in the chat. No one knows how to do number one. Add user J Halpert to group salesman. Does it start with user add J Halpert? That is close, but no. User add is primarily used to create users. Yeah, Aditya has it right. It's add user. Add user J Halpert salesman. Yeah, that's correct. That's how you add users to a group with the add user command. User add creates users. Okay, what about number two? Change shell of user P Beasley to /bin//sh. Okay, user mod something. That's a good start. Oh, okay, you almost have it correct. User mod dash s P Beasley /bin/. Okay, so you have the shell and the user switched around. Like a way to remember this is the dash s, means change the shell. For example, the dash u means change the UID. So there are a bunch of flags you can use to change different aspects of the user. For all the flags, generally what you'll do is you'll include the argument of the flag right next to the flag. So if you're changing the shell, you'll do dash s /bin/sh. If you're changing the UID, you'll do dash u and then 312 or something. So you had that almost right. You just switch around the /bin/sh with the P Beasley. Now what about the third one? Lock the user M Scott. Yeah, okay. So Joshua got it. Um, I'm not sure if that actually looks like a correct command. That might be a real command, but the easiest way to do it is just using the passwd command, and that's the method I went over recently. So yeah, here are the answers.